Place where President Cyril Rampahosa is in Ghana. The president is speaking. Let's cross live to that.
It is to transform that relationship into something even more intimate and stronger. We want to build a strategic partnership with South Africa. South Africa is our second biggest trading partner on the continent. And we believe that the time has now come to enhance the conversation and the relationship between our two countries. And that is the purpose of signing not the standard permanent joint commissions for cooperations that are quite common, but a binational commission at the level of the presidents of our two countries to indicate the importance that we attach to the relationship on both sides. And that binational commission is now going to encompass the work in several different areas, in investment, in trade. But more importantly, I think, and I said this to the president during our tete-a-tete as well as during the bilateral, I think it's also very important that we stress the nature of cultural exchanges between our two peoples. There's a strong basis for it here. South Africa's cultural icons like Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela. Ghana was their second home in the dark days of apartheid. And they provide us with the link between the cultural communities of both countries. I believe that these people-to-people exchanges, cultural linkages, become a very strong force for promoting a sense of solidarity and good relations between our two peoples. In the same way, we know that South Africa today is a major sporting power in the world. World rugby champions, world this champions, in so many areas. And I'm very strongly of the view that we in Ghana can benefit from a structured relationship with South Africa in the field of sports. And I'm hoping that it will be one of the items that the Binational Commission, when it is inaugurated in the early part of next year, will take on board and find a mechanism and modalities for making that happen. South Africa is very soon about to take over the leadership of our continental organization, the African Union. And it is important that they understand that Ghana will be a very strong and supporter of whatever initiatives President Ramaphosa wants to take to advance the cause of continental unity, continental solidarity, and the peace and stability of the continent, and the security of the continent. Whatever decisions that are going to be taken, he should know that Ghana will be firmly by his side, because we know the very positive posture that he wants to adopt for the future of our continent. So we are on various levels: diplomatic, political, economic, cultural, sporting, all of these various levels of engagement. We're hoping that this visit will be a signal that those are now going to take the front stage place in Ghana's engagement in Africa. We're very happy to have you here, Mr. President, and that you came with this important delegation of ministers for us to review our relations and then set it on the basis of this new keel that we want to see happen in Ghana. Ghana is your home, and we're expecting that apart from this very brief visit, we'll have a full-blown state visit from President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa here to us here in Ghana.
Thank you.
So, Mr. President, you're welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, President. You truly make us feel at home, for we regard Ghana as our home from home. My entire delegation are truly elated and very pleased to be here in Ghana. Much as it is a working visit, we already feel so much welcomed, and thank you very much indeed. We've just had wonderful discussions, both at the tete-a-tete level, as well as the talks between our two delegations. and we've touched on a whole range of matters, bilateral, between our two countries, and also continental as well as global issues. And we had an occasion to recall the historical and strategic links between our two countries. Our relationship is not yesterday's relationship. It emanates deep into history. Ghana played an important role in our struggle against oppression, apartheid, and colonialism. And Ghana became a home and a refuge to many South Africans who came here for refuge, for education, and also for cultural activities. And as you say, President, that Miriam Makeba, our national icon, who is now departed, as well as Hugh Masekela, your very, very good friend who also has departed, made Ghana their home, and they sharpened their own cultural prowess also here in Ghana. And so that increased the bond and the linkage between our two countries. During the years of struggle, we also always looked up to Ghana as a beacon of hope, a beacon of democracy. And today we continue to see Ghana as being a real citadel of democracy and good governance and rule of law. And we as South Africans who are still young in our democratic journey have a lot to learn from Ghana, and we always watch with great admiration at the achievements that Ghana is making in this regard. So coming here for us means that we want to deepen our relationship with Ghana, and we now have a much broader spectrum of deepening that relationship. The economic level, trade between our two countries continues to grow, and we want it to grow even further. And with the accession of the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, we are delighted that it is going to be a huge springboard for Ghana and South Africa to deepen their trade relations. We congratulated Ghana for having been chosen by the entire continent to be the Secretariat of the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, and we will be coming with great delight to Ghana to exercise our trade dealings, not only with Ghana but with the rest of the continent. And we know that Ghana will execute this continental task with great excellence and total commitment, and we stand ready to support Ghana in this regard. Mr. President, I join you in saying that we need to move forward to our inaugural Bi-National Commission, which is going to be held next year. That already means that our relationship will be much more intimate, as you correctly say, and will be based on real deliverables on a number of areas: defense, trade, as well as infrastructure, financial matters. So we're looking forward to the Bi-National Commission and the inaugural meeting being next year, and when we will come at your invitation for a state visit, a full-blown state visit, as you correctly say. So we're looking forward to that. We also want to accept your proposal that our dealings should also be cultural as well as in sports matters. We look forward to this. At the cultural level, good foundation has been laid by our icons, but we also want to see Ghanaian performers, cultural performers coming to South Africa so that we can have wonderful exchanges. But the one that I look most forward to is the sporting one. because you always succeed in beating us in football. We can't wait for you to take up rugby so that we can teach you a little bit of rugby and defeat you there as well. So this is going to increase people-to-people linkages between our two countries. And as we look forward to the finalization of the visa regime that we are putting in place to allow Ghanaians to come to South Africa on a free visa basis, we want to finalize this as quickly as possible so that the people-to-people relations between our two nations can be greatly enhanced. President, we also want to thank you for being in support of South Africa as South Africa accedes to being the chair of the African Union. We know that we can count on Ghana's support in this regard. But we also want to thank you for having supported South Africa to be elected to be a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. And we are executing that role with a particular recognition and reference to our task and our responsibility towards Africa. So we're delighted that Ghana is our partner in a number of areas. And thank you once again for allowing so many South African companies to operate in the Ghanaian market space. We are grateful for this, and we want to see more and more Ghanaian companies operating in South Africa. We want to deepen our economic dealings. We want to deepen investment exchanges between our two countries so that both countries can move more and more towards economic development. So we are committed to working together to enhance close political, economic, and social cooperation in keeping with the mutual desire to establish a special relationship between our two countries. And I want to stress that our relationship with Ghana is in the category of special relationship, and we want to keep it that way. So thank you very much for welcoming us. Thank you very much.
We'll take 2 questions from the media. Sarah Kibani, SABC.
Good afternoon, Excellencies. My name is Sarah from the South African Broadcasting Corporation. First question is to President Akufo-Addo. As the seat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, now that it has taken effect, what will you do more to see that the continent trades with each other? And what, in your opinion, is standing in the way of African countries trading with each other? And to President Ramaphosa, you take over the seat of the African Union at the time that the African Union will be having the theme of silencing the guns by 2020. It will be 2020. The guns will not be silent. What more will you do to see a peaceful continent?
So, Madam, thank you very much for those. I think our first responsibility is to establish an efficient secretariat for the working of the trade area. And an efficient secretariat means not so much so many people, but a secretariat that will enable it to be a facilitator for business and investment on the continent. We don't want to create here in Accra some large bureaucracy that is going to stand in the way of people doing business and being able to trade. So that's our first responsibility, is to establish an efficient, business-friendly promoter for business and trade on the continent. And secondly, the agreement itself has now provided us with the mechanism for being able to facilitate trade on the continent. As we all know, our continent is the continent with the lowest level of intra-regional trade of all the groupings of the world. And the example that always springs to mind for me is that the European Union, for instance, 70% to 72% of its combined GDP derives from intra-European trade, intra-regional trade within the European Union. When you come to our side, the figure is what, 14, 15%. And it may be that those figures themselves demonstrate the reason why they are where they are and where we are. So bridging that gap, bringing our levels of intra-regional trade up is the real motif, the fundamental purpose of the trade area. And our role as in Ghana is to be as effective a facilitator of this development as possible. And that's the way we're looking at it. Of course, we cannot do it on our own. We need the support of all our counterparts within the trade area. But that is the special focus that we're going to bring to the development of the trade area.
Well, thank you very much for your question. The issue of silencing the guns should be seen as a process of engendering peace on the African continent, or bringing conflicts that may be prevalent in various parts of the continent to an end. I think we should see the real success as being a commitment by the leaders of the continent to have said, and they continue to say, the guns must be silenced. That in itself is great success. The second part of it, obviously, is to get people to sit around a table and to discuss peace. And in a number of these conflicts, already there are quite a number of discussions that are going on, and all we now have to do is to hammer the message home that we do need agreements to be struck so that on an ongoing basis those guns must be silenced. And if we look at it against that backdrop, we can see that Africa is really on the cusp of achieving success, and success should not only be looked at whether it's achieved on the 31st of December 2020, it should be looked at in terms of what we do to try and engender this peace process on the African continent. And I have no doubt that we will be able to achieve that, because all of the leaders on the continent and key role players now know that in order for the continent to progress and to succeed, conflicts must be resolved. And many also know that the only way to resolve conflicts is to get everyone around the table and negotiate settlements. And that work is already underway, even around conflicts that many people would have thought most intractable. So that process is underway. So that in many ways demonstrates success.
One last question, preferably from the Ghana side.
President Cyril Ramaphosa and the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, in Ghana, they're discussing their relations and plans going forward, and of course what will happen when South Africa takes off that AU chairmanship. It's time for a short break.